Everyone for today's webinar. I know you guys are very much aware that what today's webinar is going to give you guys and who is the main person who is giving you guys a webinar about. It's just a glimpse. I just wanted to introduce you guys about a person who is letting you guys know more about AI, how it's currently booming in the market. It's none other than Ayan Chawla. Ayan Chawla is a person who has a wide experience being in an AI market. He is a data and AI architect in Microsoft. He has a great passion to work in a field of like software engineer, cloud solution architect, and he had been in other places as well. But today's webinar is all about making you guys understand how much important for you people to know about the market, the current market, how the AI is booming in the market right now. So as you people know very well, like today's topic is AI overview and market models. Ayan will be introducing you guys about how it is going to give you guys a foundation to learn and earn a lot in your upcoming days, right? So I hope you people will enjoy the webinar, and I want you each and everyone to interact with Ayan and understand a lot of input about what the current market is looking for from each individual, right? This is the right time for you people to understand like what exactly you people have to know, and for you guys to grow in your current field, or for you guys to grow in the current market. What's a base or what's a foundation that each and everyone should know, right? So for these things to happen, I feel like Ayan would be the right person to help you guys in understanding everything about artificial intelligence and how you people can take that into your day-to-day basis, and how you guys can utilize his points or utilize his ideas of working out into your day-to-day life. Ayan, it would be very much great if you can help them with knowing each and everything. I know that you are giving them a lot of input, but if students can interact with you and you can interact with them, I think it would be having a great, I mean, like it would be going to be a great session for you as well as for the viewers who are there right now with us. And guys, I would once again love to welcome each and everyone, and as well as Ayan for the webinar that is getting conducted by EdiGlobe today, and which is AI overview and market models. So I wish each and everyone are going to step into the world of AI by exploring and knowing a lot of input about AI today. So Ayan, good to go from your side. I feel you can take a call. Let me know if you guys need any of a help. I'll be there throughout the session for you guys to know any of an input as such. And but thank you so much, Ayan, for joining us for the webinar and helping us students know a lot of input about the current market.
Awesome. 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 Thanks for the lovely handover. So, yeah.
Anytime.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ayan Chawla. As you have seen already, this is my LinkedIn profile. Feel free to interact with me on the chat. I am monitoring the live chat of YouTube. Yeah. Was there something? Okay. So, yeah, feel free to use the live chat on the YouTube. And if you have any questions, any doubts, please put those in the chat and I'll be answering them live. Little bit about me. I started my career in 2021. I'm a 2021 pass out. After that, I joined Microsoft directly straight out of college. And then from there, I joined as a cloud solution architect. And I was passionate about data and AI. And now the case is that AI is booming, and I feel that I'm in the right place. And I hope all of you are also in the right place. So yeah, little bit about me. Feel free to ping me on LinkedIn if you have any super ideas, if you want something help with in your career or any session, feel free to ping me here. Or you can also reach out to me on my Gmail account. Both the things I have shared in the chat. Feel free to take them from there. Enough about that. Now we'll go for the technical part. We'll go about how we are going to see this bootcamp. This bootcamp is laid across 4 different days. We'll start today with the very basic of AI. Second day, we'll be looking into some image GPTs, how we can deal with images. our multi-model capability. Second and third day we'll go there. And on the fourth day, we'll be creating a small project where you will have a small UI and a backend sorry, where you'll have a small UI and the backend which you can create. Okay, let's start with today's agenda. So today's agenda first, we'll see a little bit of Anaconda. I personally don't use a lot of Anaconda for starters. But yeah, if you want to use, I'll show you how you can set up Anaconda, its environment. Then we'll discuss a little bit about OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, and open source and versus other technologies that there are. Then we'll talk about chat completion versus completion. We'll understand the AI responses, tokens, and then there will be some practice questions. Cool. So first of all, you can directly use Google Colab. You can go to Google here. You can search directly Google Colab, and it will open it for you. So you can directly use this environment if you want. Else, if you want, you can go to this link. Let me paste this link in the chat. You can directly go to this link and download Anaconda. You can also download Anaconda Windows Edition and install that. It will take a couple of minutes for you to do that. Once that is done, there is something called as Anaconda Navigator, which you will be seeing here. And once you have done that, you will see here different options. So local Jupyter setup, local notebook setup, local Jupyter lab. Even if you want to use Orange, this is a super visualization tool. If you want to have Oracle databases or IBM databases, all of these things you can use in Anaconda Navigator. But yeah, so far for the local setup. If you don't want to do the local setup, just quickly start doing projects, quickly start doing coding, then you can jump on here. Then we'll talk about OpenAI versus Azure OpenAI. So how AI works basically, we'll see that. So we have something called as a model. We have something called as a model. What this model does is a user gives an input and it gets back an out. That's it. A user gives an input. Any questions like you ask, help me with my homework assignment or help me with preparation of any interview, that you give to the model and somehow model returns back the output of that. Now, how this model returns back, how the internal mathematics work, how all those internals, we are not going to jump into those discussions today. It is more of about how you can start using AI or how you can start creating projects. Now, these models are hosted by multiple companies. One of them is OpenAI, the most common one. Second is Google Gemini. You must have used Gemini. Then there is Hugging Face, Anthropic, Cloud. There are multiple options there. So when I say OpenAI versus Azure OpenAI, it's nothing but different company that is hosting the models. At a backend, models are the same. So you can go for any model or any free alternative if you have. One of the few alternatives that I love to use is Hugging Face. This is one of the open source community for AI, which you can use and you can deploy your projects quickly there. You can also use Gemini API key, because all the other API keys are paid for OpenAI, Azure OpenAI, everything is paid. But you can go with Gemini API key or you can go with Hugging Face API keys. These both are free for you. Okay. Now in Anaconda, how you can add the keys. So in in Collab, how you can add the keys is you can go to this key section, you can click on this, and here you can add your secrets. When you click on add a secret, you can add the variable name and the value of that API key here. And if you want this specific notebook to access to these keys, you can have this option enabled. The moment you have that, this you will be able to read these values directly here in this notebook or in these code sets. How you can do that, I'll show you quickly. Okay. So today what we are going to do, we are going to use Azure OpenAI keys. How you can use Gemini, I'll show you, but that will be more of like a homework that you have to implement. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me on my email or my LinkedIn. But I have already set up some Azure keys here. How we are going to use them today, how we'll get our responses, and we'll also give them a little bit of our, we'll also give the chatbot our little bit personality. So all those things we'll be doing today. First and foremost, install the libraries. So I already assume that you already know uh, Python. You are not a noob with Python. You are not something who's doing the coding for the first time. So this is a prerequisite for the course. If you want to learn AI, you need to know Python and coding. So first part is you can install the libraries. There are two libraries that are commonly used. One is OpenAI and one is Python.env. OpenAI is a library which gives us the access to the model via API, and Python.env is something which helps us load these values into the Google Colab. These keys, what we saw, it helps us load these keys into the Google Colab. Once we do that, we'll import our libraries. First, we have installed the libraries. Now we are importing the libraries from OpenAI. We'll use Azure OpenAI and OpenAI. In your case, it will be Google Gemini if you'll be using Google. Then you can import OS from .env. You can load the .env, and from Google Colab, you can use the user data option to load these keys there. Very simple. First, you will be loading the environment variables. Those are these keys, and you can write these two ways. So both of these ways work. Whichever you like, you can go for it. If you write load.env, it will load all the keys here, and you can access these keys using os.getenv and the name of the variable. So you can use this variable name, put this variable name here, and you'll be start using it in the variables. If you are using the second library that I showed you, that is this user data one. If you're using from Google Colab user data one, then you don't need to do all this lines. You can directly just go here, Azure OpenAI key equal to user data dot get the key here in the code. Just for verification, we are using this print statement. And here we can see we are using GPT 4.1 model. Now, first and foremost part is we will be creating an OpenAI client. Now, what is a client? We'll first create an OpenAI client. As I showed you, right, there is something called as model, and via an API, we get or hit this API and get our results back here, correct? So now, client is something that helps us do this process. Client is something via which we can send the input and via which we can get our output back. So first we have to create a client. If you are aware of classes in Python, or if you are aware of classes in OOPS concepts generally, client is nothing but just a class variable that you have created. So here I'm using Azure OpenAI client equals to Azure OpenAI. This is imported from the libraries. Here you can give your API key, your endpoint, and the API version. You don't need to do all these complexities. If you are using Google Gemini, that will be very simple. So yeah, but you have to create a Gemini client for that. Imagine, if you are still a little bit confused, imagine client like yourself. So in real life, how do you access Google Gemini? You go to a URL, you enter that URL, some page gets loaded, and then there is a chat box. You manually type your question and get some results back, right? So what you have done here is basically a client. Client is something, if you want to do all this process programmatically, you will create a client. A client is somebody who will take the input for you, sends that to Google Gemini, and will fetch that information back. Okay. Once you have done that, Once you have enabled the client, you will see that OpenAI library client is available at this memory location. So this is nothing but just a hexadecimal where your client is stored, just like how a variable stores some value. This location, this memory location has stored your client value. First part, so the message that I'm using, the user input I'm using is write a poem to my mom for her birthday. And then we'll be sending this message to OpenAI. So we want OpenAI to write, or we want the model to write a poem for my mom's birthday. How we can do that? Okay, see, here we have created a client called as Azure OpenAI client. We'll go there. We'll put here Azure OpenAI client dot chat dot completions. So here we are saying that you have to go to the chat class, you have to go to the completions method, and then create or get me a response back. So what you do in the user bar and click on enter, this is that operation, basically. Nothing else. Next, you can say here, create model equal to Azure deployment name. Our model was 4.1 GPT. Our model was 4.1 GPT. The role is user and content is this message. So basically, you are calling that API, you're saying your role is user, and this is the message you should be giving to this client and get back me a response. Now, you all might wondering, right? Like, how do I know this? How do I know that after dot there will be a chat? How do I know what will be coming here? Simple explanation for that. You need to use documentations. OpenAI Python library documentation. Just go there, search this, and you will see a lot of documentations. Now, how do I know what I have to type here? All those things will be getting from here. Please read the documentations. If you are in industry, if you want to excel your career in IT, you have to have a habit to read documentations. You have to read what is written. It's not boring, but it's very much crucial. So here as well, you can see for text generation, for images, for audio, for all these things, you will see different documentations and how you can use those APIs. So this is how I know what to type here. Okay. Next, we got our response. Now from this response, we will be getting our first choice or the first topmost response, and we'll see the content for that. The content for that, here we can see AI has replied with a beautiful poem for my mom's birthday. This way, you can start using or start consuming any AI bot. Small practice opportunity for you. You can do the same thing. Use Google Gemini. Don't use Azure OpenAI. Don't use OpenAI directly because all those options are paid. You can use Gemini or Hugging Face. How you can do that? Do a Google search. Do a Chat GPT for that. They'll help. If you are still stuck with anything, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be helping you with these questions. Okay. So this way we can get back the response. Now, if you see here for the poem is just this part, the content part. What else do we have in the response? In the response, there are many things. There is ID, C choices we saw just, right? Then there is model, there is created date, completion token details. There are many things here. There are predicted tokens, there are fate filtered speeches, there are violent speeches. Multiple things are available in the response. We'll try to understand these details now. I have just curated a poem here and all these options here just for beautification of it. Basically, the important and crucial parts are first is ID. First is ID. Then the model that has been used, the timestamp when it was created. Then we have our content here. And then we have our some other details about our response. Most important part is token usage. out of all these. Now, what is token usage basically? See, you have some text here, right? My text or my question, something you have here. Now, how any model or how these companies has created these APIs, right? They cost you based on the text you are asking. Let me change the color here. They cost you based on the text you are asking to this model. Basically, what it means is if you are asking this question, or let me rewrite the question basically. Give me one for my. Okay. Now you have this question. Now for the model, it will break this whole thing into multiple chunks or multiple tokens. So token is the smallest unit for any API model or any AI API model to work. So basically it will break this give in one token, one, two, three, four, five, six, and maybe it will break it down to seven and day. It will break this word as well into, so total of eight tokens it will generate. So your input will be equals to eight tokens. And whatever the output will be, that will also be broken down into that number of tokens. The more tokens you used, the more cost they will be charged. So each of the APIs has their own documentation, has their own pricing models. For each of them, they have their own pricing setup and they give you some million tokens per day. Sometimes there are limits for per minute that you cannot go beyond 10,000 tokens per minute as well. So all these options are available for you. So this is the most basic and most important fundamental for AI. And for anywhere you go, any interview you go, any architecture you design, this will always be the case. Let me show you how it is created. Open AI token. So there is a tokenizer here. Let's say right upon for my mom's. Okay. See here what happened. This was a question that I had, and it has created multiple tokens for that. It has created into 8 different tokens and 34 characters. And here we can see all the different 8 tokens it has created. It also uses spaces. See, generally at an average, what we have seen is 4 characters equal to 1 token. That is a generic experimental observation that we have. So now we can see here the text for our, you can see here the text for our, or tokens for our text. So here we can see the prompt tokens, the question that we sent, it had 26 tokens. Now, there were only 8. How come this became 26? We'll see that in a bit. Completion took around 218 and total it consumed like 244 tokens. Completion means the content that it gave us, this whole thing consumed 218 tokens. Now, this chat ID, why this is important? If you have ever used ChatGPT, right, you might have seen here when you type something, it creates some breadcrumbs here on the left side, and you can click here and go back to the chat and talk about the same context. So how these breadcrumbs are stored? They are assigned a single ID, and the memory is maintained here. So if you have asked anything earlier about a specific thing, that context is still stored for you using the chat ID. Okay. So yeah, what is a token? We already covered. You have a practice opportunity where you can use the tokenizer tool to see differences in these two questions. Now, at today's final topic, we will be giving our AI a little bit of personality. And now you will get the answer that why our prompt has 26 tokens. Why our prompt had 26 tokens. Earlier, we saw that the question that we had right, it had only 8 tokens. How it became 26? It became 26 because because each prompt has one common input that is called system prompt. Now, what is a system prompt? This system prompt is always hidden when you use chat gpt, when you use any google gemini or anything. This system prompt is hidden from you. You cannot see it, you cannot modify it. What the system prompt is basically, this prompt, or in this prompt you give instructions to your chatbot. In this system prompt you give instructions to your chatbot. That is what the system prompt is, where you define if you want to take answers, if you want to give answers in a bullet point, if you want to give answers in some other language, if you want to be polite with your users, if you want to be a comical with your users. All these things are given in a system prompt. So in our case, we have 4 different character personalities. First is Sherlock Holmes, Tony Stark, Yoda, and Hermione Granger. All of these personalities has their own traits. So this will become your system prompt here. Like your Sherlock Holmes, world's greatest detective, you're analytical and give answers according to that only. So that is what we want here. We'll select a specific personality here, and this will become the system prompt. Now, this system prompt you cannot change or modify when you are using the UI of ChatGPT, but when you are using programmatical approaches, when you are calling the APIs, when you are creating your own AI applications, in that, this system prompt is in your hand, and you can control the personality, or you can give the instructions, or you can negate some instructions in this. What I mean by negate is, so if somebody asks some question about some political questions, or somebody asks some religion based questions, all those questions can be negated using the system prompt. You can say here that as a chatbot, you will not be responding to your, or you will not be responding to any such religious questions. So these all things are called as system prompts. And how I see it is, you give your chatbot or your application a personality. So here I'm giving it as a personality of Sherlock Holmes. This was the question that I had. What are you up to today? The moment I send a response. Now, here in the client chat completions API, you will see the difference. In the messages part, earlier the role was only user. So if I show you above, when I get this information, see, here in the messages, the role was user and content was the message that, or the user input that I had. But now here it will have a system prompt as well. Or it is called a system message as well. So here in the role you have system, and the content will be system instructions. Now what is system instruction? Basically this value, this text is your system instruction. You can go here, you can give your system prompt. Your system prompt will have some instructions, your user will have a question, and you will get back a response. Your AI character reply, responses, choices, and you will get the content of your message. The moment you do that, here you will see, the moment you ask, how are you bot? It is giving you an answer, how a Sherlock Holmes will give you an answer for. I reduce and seeking an engagement. It's basically asking that you should give me some question and see. It adds those little personality traits as well to your chatbot's answer. See, present your puzzle, all these things. This is what we say how we can personalize or how we can make our chatbot more empathetic. So recently, I built a system. I built a project actually. In that, what happened was we wanted to create a chatbot for a user. Sorry, for the autistic children, but we can't give the autistic children directly a response here to like we can't give the responses how we give to a normal person to the autistic children from the AI chatbot. So in that case, we give specific instructions so that the answers are more empathetic, more composed, more calm, and more warm answers to the children. This way, you can change the game of your application, of your AI application to next level. So this is what system prompt is. One caution with the system prompt is the more bigger your system prompt is, the more bigger your system prompt is, the more tokens it will consume every time. So you have to be careful when you use system prompt. It should not be a essay length or a paragraph length thing. It should be a one-liner, two-liner, or sometimes it can be a 10-liner instruction, but we have to set our prices, our costs accordingly. Okay, now you have a practice question. You can give a different personality. You can maybe give your favorite cricketers or your favorite umpires personality to your chatbot, and you can have those options. With this, we cover our today's topics, but we will see how we can use Gemini API. Basically, the homework for you or the project that you should practice. For that, you will not be using Azure OpenAI or OpenAI, you will be using Google Gemini. How you can use Google Gemini is you can go to AI Studio or you can go to Google AI Studio. The moment you go there, you will have an option to get an API key. You will click here and you will click on create an API key for yourself. The moment you create an API key for yourself, you can go to your collab notebook. In the key section, you can add your Gemini API key here and then use the same code that I used above. Let me show you that again to get that API key. You can use user data dot get. Here you will use your Google Gemini key option. Now, but what is the client? You might be asking, what is the client? Here you have used an Azure OpenAI client, but how will I know that what is the client for Google? So for Google Gemini, you can go to this link. You can go to again the documentation for Gemini API. If you go to this page, here you can see you can use this specific code. Install the Google library, import GenAI from that, give your API key here and see. You can give the model name. This is by default for Gemini. This is the free model that they give. Then you can use client.model.generate content and here you can give your content. Now similarly, this is again the user content. If you give the square brackets and message, so the same thing can be given here using the personality of the. So this ends our day one for this bootcamp. tomorrow or second and third day, we'll cover more about the image GPT, how images are handled in the chatbot. And fourth day, we will see how we can use Gradio, a simple UI, a small UI library to create a project. What project that will be? That will be your own personal AI tutor that will help you to read or to understand or to learn anything. Yep. With this, I'll stop sharing. Feel free to put your questions on the chat. Okay, I see folks on Zoom. Feel free to put your questions on the chat. We can cover these questions on the chat. Else, we are good to close our session today. Any questions, anyone?